If you are not worried about your country's Speaker McCarthy, maybe you can at least care about your own constituents. The hypocrisy here is just astonishing. Republicans have passed over $10 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthy in the past 2 decades.
Oh, buckle up, because this one is a masterpiece of political fear-mongering. Democrats just walked in here acting like Kevin McCarthy personally unplugged the economy, canceled your summer vacation, and stole grandma's Social Security check on the way out. According to them, if Republicans don't sign another $1 trillion IOU right now, planes fall out of the sky, funerals get canceled, and apparently your grandson's christening is postponed indefinitely. They're calling it hostage-taking, while holding the entire country hostage with their spending addiction. This clip is drama, math abuse, and hypocrisy in HD. If you enjoy watching politicians blame everyone else for the mess they made, hit like, smash subscribe, and don't blink. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I am really excited to be able to work under your leadership and so glad that you're at the table in these negotiations. Grateful to our whip, Greg Casar, and all of the Progressive Caucus members for being strong as we fight to make sure to save our economy. What Republicans are doing right now is playing stupid games. They are not actually negotiating. They are holding every American hostage while they threatened to wipe out people's savings, take away millions of jobs, and plunge the world economy into depression. We as Democrats need to stop them from taking Americans as fools. The default that they are threatening would be a horror show. It would be an economic catastrophe that would threaten the day-to-day life of every American. Default means 40% drop in GDP, and unemployment would jump to more than 8%. Basic services like air travel could be out of reach, meaning people couldn't go through with their summer plans, they couldn't attend a funeral, they couldn't go to a graduation, they couldn't attend their grandson's christening. And that's just the beginning. Economists across the political spectrum have warned that default on our nation's bills would cause a devastating recession, project weakness to our adversaries, roil financial markets worldwide, and raise interest rates and more. But Kevin McCarthy doesn't seem to care about that. So let's look at what it would mean for his own constituents. Even a short-term default would kill over 62,000 jobs in his district alone. It would jeopardize Social Security payments for 54,000 families in his district. It would put the health benefits of 437,000 people in Kevin's district. That's more than 50% of his constituents who rely on Medicare, Medicaid, or Veteran Affairs health coverage. It would also threaten the retirement savings of nearly 75,000 people near retirement in his district, eliminating $20,000 from typical retirement portfolio. If you are not worried about your country's Speaker McCarthy, maybe you can at least care about your own constituents. The hypocrisy here is just astonishing. Republicans have passed over $10 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthy in the past 2 decades. Just those tax cuts alone, as the chairwoman said, account for almost 60% of the deficit. And that's not to mention the $8 trillion spent on endless wars over the past 2 decades. or the $858 billion Pentagon budget that his pals voted for just last month. Are they willing to cut the Pentagon budget? No. Are they willing to roll back the trillions upon trillions of dollars in tax cuts to their billionaire friends? No. Instead, they want to gut investment in housing, in childcare, in Social Security, and even on air traffic controllers. We need to stop letting Kevin McCarthy take us for fools. Now I would like to hand it over to Whip Greg Casar.
Thank you.
All right, now that you've heard it, let's translate what just happened into plain English. That entire speech was one long panic commercial designed to scare Americans into letting Democrats keep spending without limits. They weren't negotiating. They were threatening. If you don't give us more money, Grandma can't fly to a funeral and the economy explodes. That's not leadership, that's hostage-taking with a microphone. First of all, the audacity here is breathtaking. Democrats are lecturing Republicans about deficits. After they lit $10 trillion on fire in 2 years. Pandemic spending, inflation spending, climate spending, student loan bailouts, Ukraine blank checks, you name it, they spent it. Now suddenly they're fiscal responsibility influencers because Republicans asked for basic spending limits? Please. And notice the trick they pulled. Every number they threw out blamed the default on Republicans, but not a single word about how we got $34 trillion in debt in the first place. Not one sentence about the spending bills they jammed through. Not one mention of inflation crushing families right now. They talk about economic catastrophe like it fell from the sky, not from their own policies. Then comes the comedy routine about Kevin McCarthy's district. 62,000 jobs lost, 54,000 Social Security families, 75,000 retirees. It's like an auctioneer of fear. None of that happens because Republicans want spending reform. It happens because Democrats refuse to control spending and then pretend the credit card company is the villain for asking for a budget. And the hypocrisy meter completely explodes when they start whining about tax cuts and the Pentagon. Oh, now they care about military spending? Funny, they just voted for that defense budget last month without blinking. And those tax cuts they're crying about? The same tax cuts that created record employment and wage growth before they wrecked the economy with inflation. They love deficits when they're spending. They hate deficits when Republicans want accountability. Here's the truth they don't want to say out loud. Republicans are the only adults in the room right now. They're not threatening default. They're saying you don't get to keep maxing out the national credit card without a budget plan. That's not extremism, that's what every responsible household does. Democrats aren't protecting the economy. They're protecting their spending addiction. And when they accuse McCarthy of not caring, what they really mean is he refuses to rubber stamp their mess. This speech wasn't about saving America. It was about scaring voters and avoiding responsibility. And the fact they had to use funeral flights and christenings to make their point tells you everything you need to know.